The headline you have seen for months is wrong. Everyone assumes the AI arms race is about who can build more chips, or which factory in Arizona will turn out the most silicon first. That was the 20th century playbook. The real bottleneck isn't physical, it's cognitive. In a world where algorithms are becoming commoditized and automated, the only thing that remains scarce, and therefore weaponizable, is elite mathematical talent. Nations aren't just competing for supply chains anymore. They are fighting over what we call cognitive infrastructure, universities, visa systems, and the ability to retain the specific minds capable of turning raw code into strategic advantage. If you think this is an industrial race, you're missing the war being fought in classrooms and immigration offices right now. To understand why strategy has shifted so dramatically, we must look at what actually powers these modern systems. Modern artificial intelligence architectures do not run on code alone or even just massive datasets. They rely fundamentally on linear algebra to manipulate high-dimensional vector spaces, probability theory for predictive modeling, and calculus for optimization during training phases. As routine coding tasks are increasingly automated by the very tools we use, the competitive edge shifts entirely away from general software engineering skills toward those who possess a deep understanding of these underlying mathematical principles. The hardware is merely the engine. The mathematicians are the architects designing how that engine steers and accelerates in real-world conflict scenarios. This realization forces us to confront a stark reality about the current state of American strategic capacity. While export controls on specialized hardware like NVIDIA's H20 chips offer only temporary delays for adversaries, they fail to address the root cause, the scarcity of elite mathematicians required to design and optimize next-generation autonomous systems. The United States, historically the hub for this talent pipeline, is now facing a dual threat that combines internal decline with external extraction. Data from 2025 regarding educational achievement paints a troubling picture for domestic capability. Reports indicate significant declines in 8th grade science performance and 12th grade math achievement according to national assessment metrics. This suggests that the future generation of American innovators may not possess the foundational literacy needed to control or advance these technologies, creating a vacuum at home that foreign powers are eager to fill. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. The reliance on external sources for this critical human capital is becoming unsustainable from a security perspective. The system currently depends heavily on importing talent rather than cultivating it domestically. Statistics reveal that over 57% of United States computer science and mathematics doctoral candidates are foreign-born, with another 46% at the master's level coming from abroad. This means that more than half of the nation's highest-level mathematical expertise is residing in a system where loyalty to national security interests must be constantly verified against personal motivations for visa retention or repatriation. When 57% of your doctoral pipeline comes from outside, you are not just running an economy, you are managing a complex intelligence and recruitment operation disguised as higher education policy. While the United States struggles with its own domestic supply chain issues, adversaries like China have developed methods to bypass physical restrictions entirely through a technique known as distillation. This strategy involves feeding vast amounts of output from powerful American-based models via application programming interfaces into their own smaller systems for training purposes. Recent reports cite instances where firms allegedly exfiltrated data generated by major U.S. platforms to build reasoning capabilities without authorization. Essentially, they are stealing the mathematical logic embedded in the outputs rather than building it themselves through years of fundamental research and development. By using the American teacher models as a proxy, adversaries can accelerate their own learning curves while avoiding the need for equivalent hardware infrastructure or domestic talent pools. This represents a form of intellectual property theft that is far more insidious because it leaves no physical trace in supply chain logs. The value has been extracted purely through data flows and mathematical inference. The consequence of these dynamics reframes why we are seeing visa restrictions and university funding debates alongside chip sanctions. The so-called brain drain is not merely an economic issue or a labor market anomaly. It is a national security failure. If a nation cannot retain its top mathematicians or prevent them from being recruited by rivals, no amount of physical hardware can compensate for the loss of strategic reasoning capability. You can build all the factories you want in Arizona, but if the minds capable of designing the next generation of autonomous systems are sitting in a university classroom abroad because they were offered better conditions elsewhere, that factory is building weapons for someone else's strategy. The true leverage lies not in who controls the silicon, but in who controls the cognitive infrastructure required to wield it effectively. This explains why American policy is shifting toward what some strategists call building bridges, rather than just building walls. Fixing immigration pathways and expanding STEM education are no longer just about economic growth. They are now critical components of national defense strategy. The next great power conflict will not be decided in a semiconductor fabrication plant or on the battlefield alone. It will be decided by which nation can keep its best minds from leaving and ensure their own citizens have the mathematical literacy to control the technology they are deploying. The race is no longer for raw compute cycles, but for the human intellect capable of directing those cycles toward specific geopolitical objectives. Nations that fail to secure their cognitive infrastructure will find themselves dependent on foreign talent or outpaced by adversaries who can distill American innovation without ever building a chip factory of their own. The strategic landscape has fundamentally changed from an industrial contest over physical resources to a competition for human capital and intellectual sovereignty. The scarcity of elite mathematical talent is now the defining constraint on AI dominance, making universities and visa systems as critical as trade tariffs in determining who wins this era. Understanding this shift is essential for grasping why global power dynamics are moving so rapidly toward protecting not just borders but brains. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.